Boko Haram is an Islamist extremist group located in northeastern Nigeria. This group was founded in 2002. In 2009, the group launched military operations to create an Islamic state. They recently became a part of ISIS, and their main focus is preventing Western education. Boko Haram kidnapped 276 schoolgirls, and the girls were taken away against their will. Most of them were Christian, but they were forcefully converted to Islam by their captors. The captors also forced the girls into marriage, and they were raped by their self-proclaimed husbands. The girls' education is completely taken away, and their living conditions are poor, and the food supply is insufficient. Boko Haram uses their perverted version of Islam to justify for their actions. The victims are the schoolgirls that were kidnapped, and the perpetrator is Boko Haram. Boko Haram kidnapped the schoolgirls in Chibok at a governmental secondary school. There were many human rights violated, resulting in the kidnapping. They were the right to equality, the right to life, freedom from slavery, freedom from torture and degrading treatment, the right to movement into and out of the country, the right to marriage, freedom of belief and religion, the right to desirable work, the right to adequate living standard, and the right to education.
They have escaped one of the most feared terror groups in the world.
I'm not scared of Boko Haram. They are not my God.
But she's still almost childlike, even painfully shy. Amina Ali was one of 276 schoolgirls kidnapped at gunpoint by Boko Haram militants from their boarding school in Chibok more than 2 years ago. This is only her second time in public since she was found in the Sambisa forest, long believed to be Boko Haram's hideout and where the remaining girls are being kept.
All the Chibok girls, we were all kept together for 1 year in the forest. Some were sent to be married, and that was when I was given to my husband. It was the will of God.
The man she called husband is the father of her child. Now in detention, he's accused of fighting for Boko Haram. Amina says she misses him terribly.
I am not comfortable with the way they have separated me from my husband and the father of my child. I want him to know that even though we are separated, I am still thinking about him. I have not forgotten about him.
Amina spoke to CNN just days after extremists released a video that shows about 50 of the abducted schoolgirls. One speaks to the camera, an unwilling spokeswoman. The 21-year-old told her captive school friends to have faith.
I escaped from Boko Haram with my husband. I remembered my mom, and she gave me the courage to run. I am sending a message to my sisters. Please, be patient and be prayerful. The way God rescued me from the Sambisa forest, He will rescue you too. Be hopeful.
Amina is of course grateful for her freedom, but aware that there are more than 200 others still waiting for theirs. Stephanie Basari, CNN, Abuja. Boko Haram is an Islamic militant group operating in Nigeria. Their name loosely translates to Western education is forbidden. Their first major known attack was on multiple police stations in 2003 in the northeast part of the country. But they gained notoriety when they kidnapped more than 200 schoolgirls in April 2014. Boko Haram's aim is to create an Islamic state and control large parts of northeast Nigeria. But the group has lost significant territory in the last year, partly thanks to the increased campaign by the Nigerian military, working in coalition with countries like Chad and Cameroon, who neighbour Nigeria. The new president, Muhammadu Buhari, has also moved Nigeria's military headquarters closer to Boko Haram territory in the north. But despite pushing back and the significant gains the military has made against the terror group, top military officials know that it will not be considered a success until the missing Chibok girls are found.
In our story, Boko Haram uses gender and labor inequality in Africa to kidnap girls and simultaneously discourage education from occurring. In the early modern time period, British and American colonial slave traders brought kidnapped slaves and crammed them on a boat to the Caribbean. As a part of these kidnappings, the slaves were denied the right to an education. Reading and writing were thought to incite rebellion in these slaves, so they were banned to read and write. Both of these events are examples of kidnapping to discourage or stop education for a certain population. These slaves had to work 24/7 for their owners, and they were denied both freedom and an education. Boko Haram's Chibok slave girls are forced to mate with their terrorist owners, and their whole kidnapping happens to deny them an education. Here is a rendering of the slave kidnapping in Middle Passage from the movie Amistad.
Oh, Mamanja, belong à la paix. Que je parle, oh! Sempre. Apa velo?
The Nigerian government provides an oasis in a city called Maiduguri. It has over 1 million inhabitants and is protected by a civilian joint task force. The downsides of this so-called haven are limited access to healthcare, clean water, and sanitation. It also has a very high risk of illness. There is an operation that is coordinated from Maiduguri to destroy Boko Haram called Lafaya Dole, which means peace by any means. Although the Nigerian government is trying to bring the girls back, it is heavily criticized by both domestic and foreign countries and groups. The Nigerian army has pushed into the Sambisa forest, which is where the Boko Haram stronghold is. It has also been closely working with the United States to solve their problem. High-profile individuals like Michelle Obama and Malala and a lot of other celebrities have tried to spread the word about Boko Haram and show people how important the problem is with the #BringBackOurGirls campaign. If we were to suggest anything to the Nigerian government, it would definitely be to improve the security at the schools, because if there's better security, it would be much harder for Boko Haram to kidnap the girls.